Welcome to this week's inspiring episode of Drive for Life. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the 2025 season of Drive for Life. I'm your host, Brian Martindale, and tonight our first season episode is with our friend Drake Fields. He's coming to us live from Hollister, California, and Drake needs a kidney transplant, and he's going to tell you a little bit about his story. So first of all, Drake, I want to thank you for joining us tonight on tonight's inaugural episode for 2025 Drive for Life. And how you doing today?
Good. Thank you for having me. I'm feeling pretty good today.
Thank you. Your story caught our attention because you've been so active on your own behalf. And that's what really wanted to talk to you about today. Obviously, to talk about your story, let's help you find a living donor. But you've taken it upon yourself to really get out there and help find a donor for yourself and engage people. And we need, whether we're talking to children, with younger children, with parents doing it for them, somebody like you as an adolescent or an adult, because we help adults in Michigan, we need them to know to be engaged as you are. So you're setting a great example. So let's just start. Tell us about how your kidney disease battle started and when.
So in 2019, my family and I actually went down to Disneyland in LA. As we were coming back, I was very weak. My legs were weak. My arms were sore. Um, my whole body was just worn out.
Okay.
This eventually led us to going into the ER. After that, they did a bunch of blood work, and all of that came back to where all of my numbers, no matter what number it was or what electrolyte it was
Okay.
off.
Okay. So you knew something obviously was very bad. And where did the doctors go with you from there?
So at the time, thankfully, I was very responsive to hydration. So, IV fluids, a bunch of IV fluids, um, and just slowly gaining that muscle back, was the main factor.
Okay. And so now you are on dialysis currently?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then when did that start soon after this, all these symptoms started? How long after that before you had to go that far?
Yeah, so after 2019, I mean, I was kind of in and out a couple of times. Um, from 2019 to 2023.
Okay.
2023, my left kidney was found to be unuseful.
Okay.
So they eventually removed it, surgically removed it.
Okay.
And after that, my kidney quickly declined. That was in May of 2023. My right-sided kidney quickly declined and caused me to be on dialysis May of this year.
Okay. Oh, okay. Since May of this year.
Mm.
So, and you're what, 3 times a week?
Yes.
Okay. And you go to a dialysis center, like an
Yep.
adult would or a hospital?
No, it's Stanford Children's.
Okay.
They have their own.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're at a wonderful place, as far as your treatment and everything. I just wasn't sure because now, how old are you right now?
I am 18.
Yeah, I knew I just want to say that you had, or I knew you were close. So at 18, you are an adult, but you're still in that program that you were in as an adolescent at Stanford. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So how has dialysis? I mean, now do you attend college also? Did you remember that right?
No, I stopped kind of towards the end of my senior year of high school and just focused on my health.
Yeah, and that was because of the beginning of this kidney disease. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, it's okay. So this is not only affecting your regular life, but it's affecting your education, your ability to go forward.
Yeah.
So now what struck me, like I say, when I first read your story after it was passed along to us, you've been really doing some big time advocating for yourself. So you know you need a transplant. You're obviously hoping, like we all are, we're going to explain to the audience about living donation as we go. But you know, obviously, that's the best avenue to find a living donor. So what have you been doing?
So kind of a little backstory on, having that advocation for myself. Um, I've been through many different hospitals my whole entire life. I was born with something else called Vacral Association,
Okay.
which is an acronym with 7 different diagnoses. Um, each of these I had typically in each baby that is diagnosed with Vacral
Okay.
Association. They have 3 of the 7. I was born with all 7.
Wow.
So I've been in and out of hospitals, my whole entire life. I've been in that environment um, watching my parents help me out through all of it,
Right.
learning from them
Right.
and, learning my way through.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure yeah, it's not the learning experience any child and adolescent wants. You've grown up doing it now. So you become, obviously, you paid attention, you become your own best advocate going into your own adulthood.
Yep.
So, I mean, kudos to you. Like I say, whether it's, it's parents watching this episode tonight, an adult, this young man is doing everything he can in his end. Some of the I know you've been out what handing out flyers, how you're engaging people live. Talk about that.
Yeah. So it was just it was a big conversation in the family. We originally talked about doing, the stickers or magnets on cars.
Sure.
After talking about that, I talked to a also an advocator in your area in New York, and she recommended just going all out. So after saying that, she helped me create a flyer. I printed a bunch of those, and it just Tuesday afternoon went downtown
Uh-huh.
here in my hometown and um, just went door to door in businesses.
Yeah. Now, was that Chris Mel's by the chance?
No, that was
The kidney search
the
foundation?
advocator.
Yes.
That it was Linda
Oh,
Watman. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, there's so many good people and organizations in the kidney community. We work with the Kidney Search Foundation that does similar things like that, and I'm going to connect you with them after we talk here today too, to do some further things that you can use in your avocation. So, have you been getting, in doing these efforts, have you gotten responses?
Yeah, so with that flyer, my phone number was on it. And people have found found my family members online. Um, like for example, my grandfather goes down to downtown uh, every Tuesday and Thursday, and he actually got introduced to someone that wanted to start getting tested to be a
Oh,
donor.
awesome. So
So
that has been very positive. So we have people that are becoming active. But I know in the process, once they become active, then it's a waiting game as
yeah,
far as to see if they pass tests and things like that. So that's why we're doing this today because we want more people in the waiting game to cut down your odds to find the best match for you. We'll talk a little bit about paired donation. And if somebody doesn't match you in a blood type, because a lot of people aren't familiar with that if they're not your blood match, they can still save your life by donating to somebody else. I'm sure you know that. So we're going to take just a short commercial break. We'll come right back, and then let's get into talking about those things. So we'll be right back with more of Drive for Life, ladies and gentlemen, on the Good Karma TV network.
Hi, I'm Andrea Weissman, National Spokesperson for Kidneys for Kids. As a living kidney donor myself, I know how a transplant can be both life-saving and transformative for a child and their family. Our mission at Kidneys for Kids is to educate adults how they can share their healthy kidney with a child and give them new life. Each summer, we travel coast to coast leveraging the power of television in order to recruit compassionate people just like you who are willing to donate their kidney. We also offer financial support for the families who are in treatment that may not be covered by insurance. We can only sustain this mission with your generous support. Whether it be as an individual or a business, your tax-deductible donation can be made at kidneysforkids.org. We thank you so much for your support. We know that we are changing lives of children and their families. Thank you.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Drive for Life. Again, I'm your host, Brian Martindale. This is our inaugural 2025 season episode. We're with our friend Drake Fields from Hollister, California. Again, we've been talking to him about his need for a living donor to come forward and give him a life-saving living kidney for his transplant. So again, thank you for being here. You've been, in the first part of the interview, we talked about all your advocacy and everything you're doing. You've been a medical child and adolescent now, basically your whole life. So you've really learned the ropes. But we're obviously advocating for a living donor. You have people that have come forward and registered so far, correct? With the help of
Yes.
your advocacy and family members?
Yes, as far as I know, there have been a few people that have at least reached out to the different facilities to get tested.
Very good. And so I thought we'd talk about a little bit here. So, for example, what is your blood type, Drake?
My blood type is A positive.
A positive. So if somebody, and this is what I went through when I donated 13 years ago, I went through a direct donation. So if you're watching this, ladies and gentlemen, and you're an A positive, you could be his direct donor. So you would go through the testing at your program at Stanford, correct?
Yes.
And the testing is all done at no charge and at your convenience. The qualifications can first of all be done anywhere you're watching this from, the basics. And then if you qualified further as far as matching and going into the more physical tests, then that would be done directly through Stanford. What I was going to talk about here was the difference between the direct donation that we were speaking of, if you were an A positive, and then a pair donation, because people are going to be watching this from all over the country. So if you'd like to come forward and be Drake's match and help to give him a life-saving kidney, you would go through the Stanford program, who is a participating hospital with the National Kidney Registry. And they could do a paired exchange. So you could be watching this in New York City and want to help Drake. And you can go through your testing at your local center that is an NKR center, and then those results would be given to Stanford. And if you're not the match, the blood match, you would donate to somebody that you match perfectly. And then that gives Drake a voucher and pushes him right to the top. And then that next beautiful kidney, that's the A positive perfect match, goes to Drake. And you save two lives in that case because you've given to somebody as a pair donor that maybe you don't even meet. And that's given Drake the voucher credit to get to the top of the list to get his kidney. So two people or more lives are saved in pair donation. And a lot of times pair donation sets off what we call a chain donation. So a lot of times, it takes, a donor recipient, and in pairs to get everybody in this, what we call chain, needed to be matched. So I just wanted to bring that into people to let everybody watching, because sometimes I brought in your blood type, but sometimes we don't even put it in stories anymore because people will say it. And if it's not properly explained, like we just did, they will think, oh, well, I can't help Drake because, I'm not his blood type. But we just want people to know that's not true.
Right.
So, okay. So we're glad we got testing going. We got the information out there. We're going to get some more help for you, for advocating from the Kidney Search Foundation. Um, let's talk about, okay, somebody's watching this and feels motivated. Boy, I'd like to really help. Great. First of all, do you have a phone number contact as far as your registration to test for you?
Yeah, so I don't have it, directly in front of me, of course, but there is a number that they can call. There's a website they can go to, Stanford Healthcare Kidney Donation. Um, they have a full page on that. They have a questionnaire that you can fill out that will automatically determine, depending on if you have underlying medical conditions,
Right.
that will kind of tell you what you need to do.
Okay, and so we'll edit that so just people go to that site. Now they have to do it under the name of Drake Fields. And then your birth date, sir?
Yes, this is 7607, July 6, 2007.
Right. Because they will ask that as your identifying factor. And then we also now have a direct to donation system at kidneysforkids.org. So if you come to our site and register for Drake's sake, then we will forward that basic information. We ask basic questions like height, weight, diabetes history, cancer history, the basic things to help out these other programs. And then we would forward that information directly to your program. So we want people to know we'll have at the end here after we get off this segment, we'll put in the ending credits, the exact information to directly contact the Stanford program, both by email and by phone. And then we'll have the kidneysforkids.org information in there to contact us. Is there anything you'd like to add about, okay, we know, like I say, you've lived as a medical, person. How, you're on dialysis now almost all of this year. So what is the difference even between last year? You've gone through all these other things. What has dialysis really changed?
So it's helped at least give me some kind of energy back. Before this year, I was just in and out of hospitals constantly, and that caused me to be very weak and unable to build that muscle back up. After dialysis, since it's 3 times a week, of course, I'm going to the hospital 3 times a week. However, the other 4 days that we're home, it makes me able to, go outside, run around a little bit, even if it's, for 5 minutes.
Right.
I can still have that home life.
Right. And I'm sure not the energy you had beforehand. I mean,
No.
it's saving your life. It's a life-saving therapy. It's cleaning your blood and keeping you till we find that living kidney donor for you. But I know how a lot of days it can be more taxing on your system and tiring too, or the in between days when you're recovering, like you're saying.
Right.
So a lot of times, your life has to revolve around your dialysis because there are no days off in between. You have to keep that schedule. And as far as traveling, as far as how does that limit your life now as far as being on dialysis?
So, fun fact, I've never been out of California.
Oh,
I've been to both top and bottom, but never outside.
okay.
So it's we haven't traveled too much. We've tried to go camping, and do a few hikes.
And
But
days
even that, I'm sorry.
and days in between then when you have the
Yeah,
days of dialysis.
right. Like weekends and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, but even hiking is more of a chore
More of a
now because of the energy
and
loss. Yeah.
yeah. So okay, you get this kidney, you have the ability to travel, you're not strapped to a dialysis machine anymore. Where's the first place you'd like to go?
Um, so I actually might be able to travel with the dialysis treatments. I'm very lucky to be able to have a Make-A-Wish. So we're working on that. But I would love to go to Colorado, see the mountains,
Okay.
go into the wilderness and just explore,
Yeah, and have the freedom and the energy to
Yes.
go through those places, being past dialysis and with your new kidney.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's what I was curious about. I always want to know, what's the first thing, what are going to be the biggest things in your life receiving that, other things, family, friends, anything special, going back to school, continuing education?
Yeah, so my ideal job and my ideal spot in life is actually being a registered nurse. So
Oh,
I would like to be on the other side of the table with, taking care of kids that are going through similar issues and being in the inpatient world and just
yeah,
helping out.
you've seen the other end and you've seen it for a long period of time, and to want to give back, that's just phenomenal. My recipient, she was 10, she's 23, and she's kind of doing the same thing. She's working on a doctorate degree in neuroscience and
Wow.
using that gift of life. And like I hope, just hearing what you're going to do, I know you're going to do great things with it. The freedom that you have and the energy you'll have. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to close with that. Thank you for being with us today, Drake. We're going to put all the information at the end so people will know how to register directly for you. We wish you all the best. We're going to stay in constant contact. We're going to get more advocacy sources for you to help find that living kidney donor as fast as we can.
Thank you very much, sir.
Well, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight in another episode of Drive for Life. Again, I'm your host, Brian Martindale. We want to thank our platinum sponsors, the International Painters Union and Allied Trades, as well as the National Kidney Registry. And you see behind me, Karma Inc. Apparel. That's our clothing brand that promotes kindness, and 100% of the portion of sales or proceeds of sales go to Kidneys for Kids. You'll find that at kidneysforkids.org, and that helps benefit our programs for our kids and adolescents, young men, we'll say, in the case of Drake. Thank you, Drake. You have a blessed day, and we'll see you soon.